guys, um, yeah, I'm not sure if I want to do the video. Um, I talked in different videos before about this, but yeah, like I talked before, I said the thing about soul loss, all that sort of stuff. So when I had soul loss, it was because of the last time I slept with a narcissist. Okay, and I lost my soul. So I ended up having like depression, anxiety. I ended up having to obviously that was you had to heal all this shit. Like, oh my god, you lost your soul from sleeping with fucking narc. It actually happened. Uh, and then I had what was it? I had histamine issues, adrenal fatigue, leaky gut, SIBO at one point. Uh, what else? Sleep apnea all of a sudden showed up. What else happened? Yeah, like a bunch, like all these different things. Okay, to the point of literally having uh, I had to leave my old career as a mechanic and like the adrenal fatigue, all that sort of stuff. And I'll see if I post this, but I'm seeing a lot of really toxic shit sexually, psychically in the past 4 years of energy reads that are abusive, toxic, or trying to really be toxic psychically, sexually. And I was thinking, like, do I describe of like, hey, this is trauma I had. And it's interesting how it's specific. It's great. It's interesting how women want to be like, oh, I went through this and that, and they want to be really toxic and abusive. There is a lot of women being very abusive with the sexual side of stuff towards guys or in general. And I know what has come back on different women for shit. And like literally, I went through trauma. I went through trauma with this stuff. I've helped women that have been raped, molested, abused, all this sort of stuff. I've helped men and women that had issues around sexual trauma, all this sort of stuff. I'm not going to be dealing with people trying to be toxic towards me. With any of this stuff, I wrote a book about sex because I literally was like, I wanted to help men. And I'm seeing how people are acting with all this stuff. And I'm like spiritually, when they go, oh, you mean you can connect? Yeah, you can do stuff sexually, psychically, but you still need consent. And there should never be, the person feels like they should never feel raped or molested, obviously. You should never have it that they try to, put a hold on their kundalini or tangle with them, or you're trying to hop in there, like mess with somebody when they're masturbating, or they're in the middle of sex and they're like really like toxic, abusive, and overstepping sexual boundary. All this sort of stuff that's come up in the past couple of years. And people thinking like, oh, I can just go and try. No, they can't. And I look at that and I was like, that is, no, they can't, because it will come back on them in their sex lives. It will come back on them in their sex lives when they do this. And I look at this, I was like, I wrote this book to specifically help people. I've had guys walk right up to me, knowing of like, hey, I can talk to you. I don't even want to say it that way, but like, ask for my advice on this stuff. All sorts of stuff with this, okay? Including sexual trauma, all that stuff. And women, okay? And I've helped men and women with this stuff. I'm not going to put up with energy reads that feel toxic or abusive towards me, or somebody heard, I don't know, or a sex book, whatever, and then start trying to come at me with that sort of stuff and be toxic and abusive. I've seen this attitude of like, yeah, well, I'm going to try to dig through this and that. I've named people on different videos. I don't consent to it. I've never once consented to a review of my sex life or of porn or like anything to do with sex with me. I've never consented to that, psychically trying to do it. And I never, ever go ahead and like let me look at this person's picture and try to, what can I pick up on sexually from them without consent? If there was like like I've had it like, okay, the other day when I've had somebody do that towards me, I quickly did like a projection at them of like a quick little thing of like, fuck you, I don't feel like dealing with this. But then I sit there like, I'm going to do a really deep read, like, can you imagine, this has happened. Let me like project on this person's dick and like, what can I get? What can I dig on? People have done this. Yeah. Oh yeah. And the people that have done it, I could be naming them. Yeah. Arizona, Mesa, Arizona. Oh, New York. 2 people. Steve Harrison, Gabby Bernstein. There's 2. Amber Colbert. What was that? Jillian Winsborg. What was the other one? Like, people, when they're doing this, are not at all considering what's going to happen. They're not. And then I know I've had people that I have helped, women and men, all different stuff on both sides of them, with sexual trauma or stuff going on with those things. And I'm not going to have it that I go my way. I've literally gone on my way. Literally, I'm not exaggerating. Of like, and it feels fucking ridiculous that I have to say this. Of just like walking in and going, "Ah, it just feels lame. I've literally prevented like sexual assault. I'll say, literally, I felt like there could have been rape with the one, and the other one could have been assault side rape. And then I've literally helped women who've been raped, and then I've helped women who've come back, and next thing you know, they went through a bunch of abuse, and I was like, okay, help them with either coaching or healing, and then they're okay. I won't say then they're okay, like healed it up. I've had people walk right up to me at a mall, literally just right up to me, and they start talking about how they know a girl, they had a family member that's raped. I was like, okay, I'll put some stuff out and I'll help them. I'll help them with that. This stuff has happened. Like I've seen this for a long time. Like multiple people that dating women that turns out they were molested, or dating somebody that turns out they were raped, or all this sort of stuff. And then I was helping. I've healed people with this stuff, learning how to heal that stuff, learning about how to heal the different traumas. And I'm not going to tolerate someone doing some read at me when it's fucked up like that, because I'm like, wait a minute, I love sex. Sex should be it, but it has to be, obviously you should be asking for consent and it has to be healthy. And I'm not going to tolerate an energy read at me that's toxic. And there's women out there that are really pulling a lot of shit with this and thinking like, because they're a woman. I'm not exaggerating. Like really, why is a woman trying to look at a guy's dick without consent? Why is anyone, this was Steve Hardison, why would somebody without consent try to literally really do a huge deep read on somebody's genitals without consent? Yeah, and think that that's not coming back. Yeah. Why would they do that? Yeah. I just saw there was a marker. Remove it. Thank you. So, yeah, I've had enough. I've really had enough. And I've described it with different stuff. I will explain. I've had times in the past year that I literally went to go masturbate, okay? I'd Amber or Jillian try to catch my back, or a narcissist in Souk. I've had people try to, this was Heather Glaser and it was Chelsea Smith tried to tune into me, okay? Which, if you're trying to do like hang out there while you're doing that, without consent with that, so that's one thing. But not just like, tune in, Amber Valdez popped in the bedroom right beside my bed. That happened. And I kind of went, left over. And I had, I said it about Jillian. There was very abusive shit, like trying to put links towards my head when I was masturbating. I said it on another video. Or tried to quickly flash something nasty at you. Imagine you don't have an orgasm, and there is the sexual energy to what goes out would be sent, okay? And literally, intentionally done towards me. This happened from a couple people, which I will name. I have no issue doing that. Projected stuff at me that I didn't want to see right as I was having an orgasm, trying to fuck with me. So that means they tried to directly cause harm surrounding that. So what happens to them in their sex lives? They didn't think about that, and I know who did that. I know that was Jillian. I know that actually happened with Brandon Jacobs and I think his wife in Sherwood Park. Yep. Steve Hardison, I think that had popped up at one point. I don't care what anyone says, I can pick up on it. And happened with that narc on Vancouver Island. I'm not exaggerating. I've never, ever in my life tried to turn around and sabotage somebody's sex life. I don't even like saying that. It sounds like, ugh. Project at somebody something fucked up or toxic while they're having an orgasm, because I understand that is insane what will come back at your own sex life. Yeah. Like they're not considering it. Like I really enjoy sex, and they're not considering any of this at all. And I shouldn't be having to explain to somebody, including Steve Hardison there. I shouldn't be having to. What is the guy in his fucking 60s? Why should I be having to explain to someone like that of like, hey, you shouldn't be doing that? Like, holy shit, you should not be trying to like, let me do like a review on this. And like, there's trauma in my family that was clearing out, and I don't want to have to, because it's nobody's business, explain that on here, because it's not anybody's business, and I'm not allowing any overstep sexual boundaries with me. Just like I'm not going to overstep somebody's sexual boundaries and make them like, there has to be consent. If there's anything in any way of like, okay, they weren't already, then obviously you don't do it. I shouldn't be having to explain this stuff to people who are supposed to be how old now? 20s, 30s, what, 40, 50, whatever the fuck. And that's nuts that people thought they were going to act like that towards people. You're like, oh my God, like it just felt like it is, that's beyond. Like energy reads on somebody that felt like they have been abused, or they literally felt like they've been abused or complete oversight. That's fucking disgusting. And it's actually disgusting that people would literally turn around and act like that, and then act like these are people out there that are supposed to be like teachers or coaches or healers, and they're acting like that. So going back and forth with, you're joking around psychically, there's psychic sex, any of this sort of stuff, okay. But if not, obviously not if the other person's like, no, what are you doing? No, I don't want that. Obviously not. And I'm never going to go and try to do an energy read on somebody, like a sex read on somebody, like, oh my God, yeah, I don't care if you feel like that, they feel like insanely uncomfortable, and it's just like, oh my God, I feel like you just, yeah, that it feels like somebody was like really harmed. No, you don't do that. You don't do stuff like that. And I shouldn't be even having to say that. I shouldn't be having to say that. This is basic stuff, and anyone that knows anything about energy should actually know this. So these are like looking at, what's the word for it? I don't want to say, I'm not saying noob. What's the word for it? Like they have never, who taught these people? Who taught these people? Like this isn't even like oh, you'd have an energy teacher to explain it. Who the fuck in their like, how are they raised? Who are they? This is showing who they are as people. This is who they are as people, that they thought they could pull that stuff. Now, the thing with Amber Valdez, I will explain, there was a narcissist that was trying to suggest her, and there was another woman out of California, to me psychically, and she might have done it with one or other two, and made it look like them projected at me. I didn't do it. So it's possible she picked up on it and kind of went like, what's going on? Okay. But these other ones, literally knowingly, were trying to pull stuff towards me at times where it's just like, this is like, definitely like, what the fuck are they doing? Yeah. If I out loud said, and I did this multiple times with different people, I don't consent, I don't consent, I don't consent. Even when I had this past 2 days, try to put a marker around my dick or my root, and I'm going, I don't consent. I don't consent to that. I don't consent to someone throwing a marker on my dick and trying to review me sexually, or force a sex review I don't even want, back to 3 years. I'm never allowing that. And I guess people didn't consider what's coming back. So I really enjoy sex, but I enjoy like healthy sex. And when I write a sex book, it was directly to help men and to make sure it was healthy. I'm very specific in it about that it's healthy sex. And then I'm seeing women using sex to try to steal power from guys, try to harm guys, try to control guys, try to cause harm. Yeah, that there's a lot of women that are using sex. It's to the point I could pick it out very easily in people. This sort of stuff of like, whoa, like that is, yeah. There shouldn't be somebody in some way, shape, or form that feels like, wow, I just feel like consent has to be there, and it definitely should not be something that, yeah. Oh yeah, like literally trying to use sex to be abusive towards men, to harm men, to try to steal power from men, and then have a control at them. And I have seen that out of Dylan Wisborg. I've seen that with Amber Colbert. Yeah, and I've seen that out of that narcissist of Van Crown I mentioned. To have it that, I will say that, I said in another video, I know for a fact, Chelsea Smith, Heather Glazer, the two of them have literally gone and masturbated and were thinking about me. Okay? Saw a flash of it psychically. I'm like, okay, whatever. They turned around and tried to throw markers on my back and redirect my energy. Okay? Try to redirect my energy. One of their friends, Jacqueline Mueller, psychically, I see it making it look like her head's going down, sort of thing, sexually towards me. And at the time, I'm like, okay, I'm not saying I didn't have any issue with it, okay? But later, I had it, and I believe she threw markers on my back too. Her Chelsea, Heather, and even Brandon, I think, tried to throw markers on my back to do with like Kundalini and was trying to redirect my energy. They tried to redirect my energy to two different exes of mine that ended up being narcissists that I got abused by. So having energy reach their toxic, having it that literally stuff tried to project on me when I literally went to have an orgasm to, oh my God, imagine that. Like I want to actually, like I really enjoy sex, love sex. Yeah. And they pulled that towards me. So what happens to their sex lives then? What happens to their sex lives? And there's women out there that are doing this. They're acting like this, thinking they can just act like that and like, oh yeah, it'll be fine. That's not how that works. That isn't, and that includes the energy read with Steve Hardison. Yeah, that's not how that works. So I really feel like I'm seeing people that they're pulling this sort of stuff and thinking that they can just do it. And I think it's actually really fucked up considering I've gone out of my way to help a bunch of people that have been sexually abused. No, I would say raped, molested, or they had some sort of issue with that. Like knowing, hey, come and ask Corey. Hey, a guy would walk up, start talking about this. I'm like, okay, no worries here. I'll tell you. Like, I know this, this, and this. Okay, this, whatever. Or women having issues in some way. Yeah. Which I won't get right, but oh yeah, like I've had to directly help people. Like, okay, they went through this. Okay, I'm gonna help you, so you like, so that things are going well. Yeah, do you know what I mean? I should not be having to deal with that. I shouldn't be having to deal with that at all. So, like the one with Gabby Bernstein, so she had some sort of trauma as a child. Interesting. And then I write a sex book to help people, and I've helped all these people with this. And then she takes a shot at my dick online. That's interesting. So did Steve through an old client of his. I don't think Steve has ever had sex for multiple hours in his life like I had. I don't think he's ever gone and that was not on any, at the time, it wasn't on a testosterone or anything, or any of this sort of stuff, okay? So I don't know why Steve would be taking shots at all sexy, because taking a shot at a guy's dick is about power. He doesn't like them touched by God. Obviously, have a lot of sexual power. I wrote a book about sex. All right. Steve was abused as a kid. He was abused, not sexually, but he was abused by his cousin, pinned down, so he would feel powerless. And then what's another word for powerless? Impotent. And then he had a chunk of his ear bitten off. And then he got bullied, at least, I don't know, probably a couple times, and he didn't have a dad. So Steve wants to be a little fucking piece of shit asshole and do this sort of stuff, and then turn around and then say it's just like his husk and he does this and that. No, it's not. It's abusive. He also was using the name of somebody who abused me spiritually and got other people to post about it. So no, this is not like, oh, I'm going to pull this towards this guy. No, he's not. Actually, no, he's not. No, he's not. And the guys he's used to dealing with, the guys who are at his events that are doing the, oh my God, I was worried things might get a little out of hand when Steve was up there. I'm not one of those guys, Steve. And you know that. I'm not one of those guys. I'm definitely not. I'm not afraid of him. I have zero respect for him. I think he's a toxic little fucking asshole. I picked up so much toxic shit I could pick up on. When I looked at that book, I threw it out after. So, yeah, he's definitely, yeah. I think it's fucked that someone would try to take shots at me sexually when I know literally how many people have I helped. I already said it. When I like having sex, I like having, like I said, I've had hours, okay? I don't know a lot of people that do that. And writing that book to directly help men. Yeah. Okay? And I went through soul loss the last time I slept with a narcissist. That I slept with a narcissist, what was this, like 13 plus years ago at the time when I had narcissistic abuse. Had soul loss. Yeah, the last time I slept with her. So, wait a minute. So that means I had trauma with that. Oh my God, imagine that. The guys can have trauma like this. Oh my God, there's guys out there that, oh, there we go, boom. Lit up more. Awesome. Yeah, all this sort of stuff. That's interesting that people were going to act like that. Now, why would I be getting that when I go out of my way to help people? When I go out of my way of like, oh, okay, like literally people approaching me like, can you help with this? Can you help with this? Or this person's been through this, whatever. Interesting. So why would I be having that dished at me? And why would be, so I said about Steve though, that's directly trying to take a shot at a guy's power. That's what that is. I'm like, let me try to go with this. That's all that is. So Steve didn't have a dad, and he has issues around men, and he would have issues about power. And I know that, well, okay, law of attraction, through law of attraction, he already has one of his former clients that even said that he walked around feeling powerless, all this. Guess what? He was a client of Steve's. Guess what? Steve has issues around that. There you go. So, and the Gabby Bernstein thing, she has issues about men. And she said, what was it? Repressed trauma from her past, all this sort of stuff. Yeah. Issues about men. Her trying to take that shot, that was trying about power. That's all it was. That's all it was. Yeah. Yeah. So I just think this is fucking ridiculous when I literally have had, like, I don't know if I go right into it, but I'm not going to, certain specifics, maybe they'll come up at another time. But yeah, I know all this stuff about healing, sexual healing, all this sort of stuff, and then about helping your sex life, all this sort of stuff. Why would I be having people act like that towards me? Yeah. And there's nothing, like, when I directly am saying in that book, I'm not saying go out and pick up some random person, use this. Okay? I'm not. So, yeah, and I think that's actually really fucked that having that posted towards me, I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, that's about power. If you ever see that, you ever see somebody going away like, yeah, I'm going to go at this, it's about power. All right? It's about power. That's all it is. That's all it is. So, Steve, and I don't want to name it because I enjoyed some of one of his old clients' stuff, actually. But yeah, if guys with powerlessness, that sort of stuff, yeah. So Steve has powerlessness issues in him. So, yeah, it's toxic, and I'm not going to put up with that. So, like I said, I don't know what men he's used to dealing with, but holy shit. Like, I don't get what, yeah. Yeah, I've had enough. And then women being toxic with this stuff. What is with people think, oh, well, it's a woman, it's funny. And yeah, they can just go and do this or that. And like, oh yeah, there is women, I don't know if I want to say in this video, but there's women that are going out there that are doing things towards men. Literally. There's stuff I could say, but I don't want to say it that I know of. Even like family sort of trauma stuff. Yeah, I don't want to mention that, but there is definitely, it's not just guys out there going and say harming, do I want to say harming, or there is definitely, and I know of even in Canada that there was, I don't want to get into specifics or things because it's fucked. Yeah, there is women that are going out there and traumatizing people sexually. Okay? Yeah. It's not just stuff with like guys. So people are going, well, I was treated this way. Yeah, there is. There is, and I said it in another post. I even had it, well, this is considered, I don't even want to say it because it sounds kind of fucked, but yeah, I was at a beer tent in Alberta, Canada, and it was at a ball tournament, and myself and two buddies were standing there, and we had women walk up and just grab our dick, just like this, and tally it on their arm. Yeah. Without consent, anything like that. And I'm not saying this, like at the time, we're like, oh my God. But that sort of stuff happens. Like women trying to go and pull stuff towards guys without consent. So there is a big thing. If everyone wants to mention the thing about like the consent thing, yeah, there should be consent. There should be. Yeah, but having that psychically, I was really, like, they went right into darkness, a bunch of people, and were acting like that. Yeah, Amber Colbert went out into the abyss, covered all, there was literally, like, I remember seeing her on the astral, and it was just, like, super smoky and all this, and I'm like, okay, so, like, right into it. Like, if you're out in the abyss, okay, like, she was just out there, okay? And, like, who would ever think of that it would be okay without ever asking or consent to try to look at somebody's dick in the middle of the night without asking? Same with Jillian trying to literally, on the astral, tried to like trick me so she could see my dick, literally, and then made it look like she was going to give me a blowjob, and then tried to turn around and make it look like her hand was weird, and then tried to shift what her, oh yeah, like her face and everything. And I woke up like, oh my god, that happened with both times. I went like, oh my god, like holy shit. Yeah, this is stuff that's happened. This is stuff that's happened. So, and I'm not sure if I meant. Oh, I did mention that there. The thing with Chelsea Smith with the raspberries and all that, like the grab my chest. So the intent behind that was to make me look a certain way to go and do it back to her, and I felt it. I'll make it look like I'm grabbing her, yeah, going at her. So then now you have women pulling stuff towards guys sexually to make them look bad, to make them look a certain way sexually, where they were the ones that pulled stuff, and then they tried to make the guy look like they pulled stuff. Really interesting. So women are willing to pull that sort of stuff towards guys when I've literally gone out of my way to help women like a bunch. This isn't like, oh, helped like one woman or two. No, like a bunch that that had like a bunch of trauma, and I could like, okay, now what I know, I could really help heal. So, yeah, that's kind of fucked. So I'll see how I post this, but or if I post it, I've had enough, and I've had enough of people pulling toxic shit and thinking when I do videos like this, it's because I'm making sure they're going to be seen for what they did towards me. Because people having this attitude like they're going to pull that and be like, oh no, I can whatever. No, they're not. They're not going to pull that towards me. They're not.